Welcome back to DAP Build. Today, well, this isn't my car, obviously. We are outside of the shed and I actually have Mike with me. Mike is the owner of, well, tell us about it, Mike. What do you got here?
Hi guys, my name's Mike. What we have here today is a manual 1996 Legnum VR4. It's an all-wheel drive 2.5 litre quad cam V6 in a transverse setup.
Very nice. So the reason why I'm doing this is you kind of hit flat spots when you're working on cars, and for me at the moment I need a bit of inspiration. Mike actually bought this thing as a bit of a wreck, isn't it? A bit of a turd, really.
Oh, it's a total salvage operation, yeah.
Yeah. We've got some shots up in a second, show you some before and after due course, but this is the kind of thing that you kind of need to see sometimes so you can continue your own build. It does get a bit daunting, and I'm sure you can tell us a bit. You hit a few rough spots during the process of this as well, didn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, like with any automotive journey, we all hit flat spots from time to time, and motivation goes out the window, and we just need to reset. Yeah. So basically, I bought this thing off the side of the road, about 800 metres down from where I live. A young woman was using it as a daily. It was not in the best shape. Had a lot of front end damage, a lot of hair, a lot of bobby pins, and a lot of Macca's rubbish in this thing. But I
think I've got a shot of the Macca's rubbish actually.
Oh, yeah, it was something pretty surreal. But
yeah.
Basically, it had been used and imported probably about 8 or 9 years ago. Very low Ks. It had genuine 40,000 when it came into Australia. Yeah, absolutely. It was very surprising. Very much not quite a barn find. But like chance. Yeah, and fate has it. But as all good things come to an end, an engine that had just never been serviced in its entirety couldn't take it anymore and just yeeted its idler bearing.
Oh yes, yeah, I do actually. I think you sent a video of that. I think I have to remove the audio. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's
okay. Well,
silly moments there.
We might talk over the audio perhaps, and I'll bring that up in a second. But surely enough, this is like pretty decent looking now. This looks pretty clean for what it is. Obviously you've had a bit of a respray done on it. Yeah. The body, you know, it's still a bit fair to be frank, but it looks great. I mean, from perspective, as you're using it as a daily now, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. It's my only way to get around.
Yeah, fair enough. So you unfortunately lost your previous Japanese import as well. So went to another Japanese import, much larger scale though.
Yeah, it's in JDM heaven now. Yeah, October last year, ironically just after I'd registered my little build. It was a single turbo 6A13 converted FTO. It's a little front wheel drive beast, little coupe. Yeah, I had a run in with a P-plater pulling out into traffic at about 70 k's an hour, and unfortunately my car came away second best.
Yeah, unfortunately sometimes you can't do much about it, but at least you're back into something now, and it's a pretty wicked setup. I mean, you got that same turbo engine happening. It's a brilliant configuration. A lot of people kind of have gripes about the Mitsubishi turbo system, and yes, they are a front wheel drive setup originally. This is an all-wheel drive platform, obviously, but they're pretty decent, they're pretty rock solid, and it's a manual. Yours is a manual as well, so it makes it a bit more appealing, a bit more fun to drive, yeah?
Oh, absolutely. Look, I have various knee problems, and for the last 10 years I've been driving a little two-door coupe, getting around everywhere. It's hard to get in and out of, and it just after
You're starting to sound like everyone else buying SUVs. What are you doing?
I know, but I just can't give up the Mitsubishi game. I love it. All I've ever owned is Mitsubishi, and the next logical choice on the 6A platform was the wagons.
Well, I think that's a pretty good rundown overall. I'd like to see the engine personally. So, want to pop the hood?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's have a
As they
look.
say in Fast and Furious. There we go. It's reasonably tidy. I mean, there's still a bit of cleaning to do, obviously. You haven't cleaned it for me.
No.
It's not bad though. I've seen worse in terms of working on them. I've got a 300ZX. That's always fun and entertaining to try and get your hands down the bay. Everything's not too bad. I can move the airbox, and most things are at a hand's reach here.
Yeah, well, basically the good thing is nothing's missing. But so,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fair point.
yeah, so generally speaking, from a daily perspective, the important part of it was getting it mechanically sound first. So, and then working from the outside in. So this is the next area that we'll be tackling. As you can see, it's got a bit of polishing compound, a little bit of surface rust here and there, and yeah, a little bit of oxidization around some parts of it. As time goes on, I've got a lot of removal and reinstallation of parts to go in, so I didn't see the value in getting too nitty gritty with the cleaning.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's something I'll definitely be looking at getting done soon before I take it to any shows.
So this is more or less running as your same engine setup as you mentioned before as the FTO, yeah? So you mentioned a few bits and pieces that made its way from that car back into this, so it lives on as such in a small way.
Yeah, absolutely. The legacy of the little white FTO lives on. So this same motor now has been in 4 different cars. Maybe it's cursed, I don't know. But
Oh, it's just the same engine?
yeah, absolutely.
Oh, right,
yeah.
okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
There you go,
So,
okay.
One of the few things that survived the crash was the actual motor itself. So this basically was salvaged from a 99 Legnum. It's made its way through one FTO into another FTO, which was the now recently deceased white single turbo. But now, yeah, it's made its way into this thing.
So it's back to being twin turbo, obviously. I mean, we've got both pipes front and back here, leading to your intercooler and then obviously into the intake. But so you went from the single turbo, which would have been mounted over the gearbox, wasn't it?
Yeah, so we moved off the battery to the boot, modified the airbox and installed a TD05 20G single turbo.
Nice.
In that air. A lot of tight space, a lot of welding, a lot of cuts to my hands, but we made it work. It
Yeah, I
was
know how that works. Yeah.
one of the funnest builds and cars I've ever had a part of. Yeah.
So you're back to twins. Is it the factory size turbos or have you upgraded them?
Yeah, so these are just the factory little TD03s. There is plans in the future, however, to install some slightly oversized ones.
Okay.
Yeah, and some reground cams.
Nice, nice. I think you've brought those parts with you. We'll have a look at those in a second as well.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
So, in regards to this motor though, when it wasn't in the best shape, it was more of a fix me up when I bought it. It's been a salvage lot. It had most of the ancillaries on it, most of the auxiliaries on it, like the alternator and all the overhead bits and pieces, but it had the tightest harmonic balancer bolt you would have ever encountered. It was blown up, shredded to pieces, cut out along with the crank, and welded onto to remove that bolt. So yeah, this engine's been quite the frustration since day dot, but essentially it's had a ground up rebuild, right from the half bearings all the way up to the valves.
It's always fun working on these motors, especially because you've got everything crammed against the side of the car. I've got a great picture I'm going to bring up right now showing you in the engine bay, it seems, working on... You were actually in the engine bay?
Oh yeah, we could not
what
get
the hell?
Access to the rear turbo, especially when you're leaning over the car, is a nightmare. So you got to get into the mess.
So you obviously had like the airbox removed, the battery, the radiator, I suppose, to get in there, or do you have the radiator in there?
No, that was before the radiator. That was just with the airbox and all the plugs missing. But yeah, it's
like you're bigger than me, and I would think I would struggle to get in. I probably could have got in there actually.
It is quite.
It's actually a pretty decent sized space. Wow. But that's nuts. That's the only problem about working on these orientation engines is everything's against there. the only thing you really do easily is change the front spark plugs, and whoop-de-doo about that one.
Oh yeah, that's one of the easier tasks to do. But basically, yeah, without a hoist, this becomes quite the logistical nightmare. It is a spaghetti bolognese of wires and pipes, and sharp things that are more than willing to cut you.
And you just got everything. Like you got the ABS pump cram back here. Geez, you got your clutch master cylinder cram behind the intake plenum. Everything is. It's at a hand's reach as such, but man, what a nightmare to work on. Anyway.
It's not fun, but it's most certainly worthwhile.
What was it anyway that made you come back to obviously this engine, but going into a Legnum in the first place as well?
Look, I'm very familiar with the 6A platform, so the FTO and the Legnum both share the same block, with differences being in the sump and the heads. So logically, it made sense for me to stay with what I knew already.
Fair enough.
So the difference between me getting another FTO and a Legnum being is, it's just so much easier for me to get in and out of, to fit people in. Yeah, while the FTO is a 4-seater.
No, it's not. No, let's be clear here. It has 4 seats. Doesn't mean it is a 4-seater.
It's definitely not the greatest thing to be climbing in and out of when you're a little bit over 6 foot.
Yeah, well that too, you got the height factor.
Yeah.
And we're not the tallest people, there are taller people, and they cram themselves into those cars. I don't know how, but they do. It's not as bad. I know one bloke that also has a Mini, so you get something out of there.
I heard about that guy.
Anything else that really drove you towards the Legnum as such?
The Legnum in particular, look, I like the sleeper aspect of it. Most people aren't familiar with the car, and to any other common Australian, it would just appear to be another Magna on the road.
Yeah, I will bring up a picture of Magna just side by side so you can kind of see what we're talking about. Diamante, Sigma, some platforms, different names, different countries obviously, but yeah, just if you don't know, most people do think it's just a Magna wagon, and it's funny because all of a sudden just launches and goodbye. But always fun. It doesn't really sound like much. You've got a bit of an exhaust going on here, yeah?
Yeah, well, it's the stock Jasma setup that basically comes straight out of Japan at the moment. I've chosen at this stage to just keep it as subtly modified as possible. So no red intercooler piping, no like chrome bits anywhere. It's basically just as stock as I can keep it.
Are these factory? I can't remember.
Yeah, so this is the factory Y pipe.
Oh, there you go, okay. It's all pretty much in spec. There's nothing really obvious apart from a lovely black cam cover, which is always nice to see. Is that wrinkled finish?
It's supposed to be wrinkled.
Supposed to be wrinkled finish. It's just dried paint. Well, there, it's same effect in the end of the day. But yeah, I mean, pretty sweet. This is factory too, isn't it?
Yeah, this is the factory strut brace. It's common across all the models there. Tastefully done in nice red, and it's supposed to be slightly brighter than this silver.
I think they're going for the rally art theme as such, like the red accents with the silver cross piece and everything.
But yeah, like short of that, in the engine bay at the moment, everything is completely stock besides one little fuel loop down here. And well, what you can't see is it's got some ARP head studs, basically retaining everything down there, too.
Well, that makes things a lot easier.
Yeah, it's just... See what you mean about the burnouts now.
I'm trying to figure out what actually did that too, because all of a sudden I see a Mazda 2 fly past. I might actually leave that in right at the end. I don't know if it'll sound up though, that's it. I think that is the Mazda 2, that's hilarious.
Oh, it is exactly.
Drop it! Drop it! Far out. That's a good effort. This is what we deal with around this area, why I'm constantly doing cuts and cuts and cuts. Anyway.
The joys of an industrial estate.
Yeah. All right, so, well, I think that's pretty much good for that. I'd like to see a bit more of the interior personally. I haven't seen a lot of the Legnum interior, even though you've obviously brought it here today. I haven't really had a good squiz, so let's drop in there now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'll take you a bit further in a second. Obviously, we're kind of blocking the entire view of the inside, but just give us a bit of a rundown on the actual interior and everything.
Yeah, so basically, besides one little head unit here, we are completely stock. Very reminiscent of a sub 100,000k chassis, yeah. Besides the not so tasteful bus seat material and the...
I like the bus seat material. Brings back memories of a child.
Very 90s, very 90s.
Yeah,
Yeah, other than that, it's free of rips and tears. It is, besides a serious amount of hair I had to vacuum out of it when I bought it,
Dog hair, yeah?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm glad you said dog hair.
You'd think a golden retriever was driving it at some point.
What, in the front?
Yeah, absolutely.
What?
It was everywhere. It's between every crack, every mineral.
Nice.
There's rubbish everywhere through it. Now, no offense to the previous owner. I am grateful for having this car, but they weren't the best at looking after it.
Yeah, some people treat a car as a car. I mean, you get people like us, unfortunately, we kind of get attached to things. And we kind of do put in the extra effort, go the extra mile, sometimes to put it back to a factory spec. Some other people, well, questionable choices can be made on interior designs and red inserts and all that sort of thing. But I mean, personal choice at the end of the day. For us, I think we both prefer the stock factory look. Just clean, simple, nice, you know, it just works.
I know, but it's always interesting when you buy a new car, or a used car in this case, you just go through all the little nooks and crannies in it, and you just find out a little bit more about the previous owner you wouldn't have known before. So
And get some money back as well. It's always great.
Oh, yeah, look, about $6.50 and change.
No, there you go.
Yeah,
take it off the bill.
It's paid for itself. but some weird things I like to mention. Well, it's not so weird finding like bobby pins all over the place.
Oh yeah.
I've found at least 60 of these things scattered all over. But
So she had long hair then?
yeah, she definitely did.
Yep.
Yeah, a number of prescription pairs of glasses, which
What, the actual glasses were in here?
yeah, they didn't want back. You know,
Okay.
possibly correlated with the amount of front end damage we had, but
Yeah, okay. Yep.
yeah, but along that, a couple hundred slug pellets.
Nice.
I found them in the boot. I found them in the front footwell. I found them in the dash there, everywhere. And I found another 5 or 6 of them on my way over here today.
So I take it you haven't removed the carpets yet, so you've yet more to find, obviously.
Oh, it's a never-ending story when it comes to cleaning this car. Yeah, I've vacuumed it probably a good 2 or 3 times now, and I'm still pulling up.
Yeah.
I'm pulling up stuff.
The only way you ever really get a car clean is to take everything out and start from scratch.
Cleaning it and giving it a deep clean, pulling the interior right out is on the cards. I should mention this, I've only recently registered it. I'm quite busy with my career and haven't had the amount of time I used to when I was younger to work on these things.
Yeah.
But I would desperately love to get the smell of Townsville out of this thing.
The small You're right. So let's see what's in the boot then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hide the drugs?
Sometimes.
Yeah. We've got a panel here, so I'm curious already. Yep.
Yeah, so how fantastic is this?
That's pretty good. It's a decent sized boot as well.
Yeah, it's huge. I can fit all the groceries and JDM bits and pieces in there.
And you can hide them too, because you've got the soft pullover cover, which is nice.
Look, being a daily and being a tradesman, I frequently have to bring my tools home with me. So having this and being able to cover up those parts.
Yeah, nice.
Stop prying eyes looking in. It's fantastic.
Well, at least you got the window tint as well, so it all kind of ties in together.
But yeah, so besides that, the really nifty way of concealing everything in the boot, we've got a tray here.
Nice.
Yeah.
Fit a fair bit.
Missing from frame, we have a safety triangle for the road, some flares, and the toolkit. But on top of that, we've also got an empty cavity here.
Nice.
Also missing from this was a factory option picnic table, basically, would sit in here. Oh, look!
Another bobby pin.
Another bobby pin.
Another non-factory option.
Yeah, another Japanese bobby pin.
Yeah, nice. That's a fair bit of space, and then obviously underneath that you've got the, well, you've got nothing under there at the moment, so I take it you've got a spare wheel.
Yeah, so also not pictured here is the missing spare wheel. Ideally, I would like to get a full-size spare, but we're not sticking with these wheels at the moment. We might be looking at something else in the future.
So can you fit a full size in this rear area? Or?
Yeah, you should do.
Yeah? I noticed you've actually got this too, so it saves your hand.
Yeah.
Did you know about that?
No, I did not.
Yeah, I taught him something. Magic.
I was going to pretend like I did, but...
I've got that in my car, that's how I knew. Yeah, nice. That's pretty decent. I mean, a lot of these cars you only tend to get a space saver holding. Like you've only got enough cavity there for a space saver. Maybe you can fill it out with some foam, put in a full size, but this actually has a proper full size cavity for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and like with the difference being with the FTO and the Legnum too, in my previous car, I did have like a little space saver wheel in there. It's not the best thing you want to be putting on a turbocharged front wheel drive car, but besides that, it was just a plywood board with some carpets shoved over the top of it. So to actually have a molded piece of plastic that I can sit things in, that everything's not going to slide around in. And along with that, we've got all this like extra little space for like stashing things, recovery gear or whatever it needs to be.
I just noticed you got ones on the side as well.
Yeah. Well, this is supposed to be.
Or is that access for like the fuel filler and everything?
No. This is a whole nother space for a.
Nice.
Yeah, retaining like a little toolkit or something.
That's a lot. Like, okay, yeah, it is a station wagon, obviously, but 9 times out of 10, especially these days, they fill in all that area with all the electronics, like your CD. Well, I'm taking a CD changer. That's like ancient now, but. Like those spaces you can never actually get access to. It was always a hidden off area, molded over, or just bare metal and just have a massive cavity here. But you've actually got the ability to store some stuff. That's brilliant.
Yeah, it's so functional, and that's another reason why I love this car.
Yep. So with that being said then, I mean, long term, obviously this fits your needs at the moment. How long would you think of keeping this car then?
Look, I would like to see where I go with this car at the moment. I've got plans and ambitions for it, but I will probably keep it long term. I reckon, at least until my knees give out a little bit more.
And then upgrade to an SUV, won't you?
Yeah.
Everyone upgrades to an SUV. I'm kind of over
it's
that.
The end
but
game.
anyway,
You come full circle.
Yeah, well, yeah, you go from it and then you come back to it, don't you? But I mean, that's not too bad. At the end of the day, a lot of people tend to go through cars like water. But at the end of the day too, it's nice to see that, you know, you kind of plugged away at it. It still needs some work, obviously, but I mean, you get to that point in time, some people will kind of build a car to sell it off or to flip it or whatever and move on to the next project. For you, this is actually a bit of an ambition, like a desire, a want to do. You enjoy the car, you like the car, anything like that, so.
Yeah, absolutely. It's working on cars is more or less a hobby of mine rather than like or it's a cost-saving venture, I should probably say.
Fair enough, yeah.
Yeah, so when I'm not spending money, I'm saving money.
Yeah.
That's the secret to it. That's why I love working on these things. I'm very familiar with it. So it would take a big change in my life for me to want to sell this thing.
Well, even moving forward, like let's say for argument's sake, of a family, all that sort of thing, obviously, it's a station wagon, it's functional, you've got 5 seats, you've even got the little things at the top there for the baby seats and all that kind of affair. So, yeah. I mean, this ticks all the boxes in terms of a family car, but it's so much more fun than buying, you know, an SUV, you know, something boring that's, okay, large, got a bit of space, you've got the power, you get the all-wheel drive, you've got the cargo area, you can use it for work, you can use it to pick up groceries and, you know, family expansion in the future, etc. and so on. This is a great all-rounder as such. Yeah. So it pretty much fits your bill and like you enjoy it, obviously. Are you self-taught in terms of mechanics and fixing cars then?
Completely, yeah. So most of my family, they do have some racing and mechanical sort of history to it all, but I'm the first one to sort of break away from the whole traditional Ford, Holden, Chevrolet side of things and go for the Japanese side of things. Yeah. My mechanical journey started off from a cost-saving perspective. I couldn't keep forking out big dollars to have work done to my car, whether it be suspension or, you know, paying $1,000 just for the labour side of things to have a clutch replaced. So I've got fortunately I've got access to a good bunch of friends that are willing to help me and teach me, and I've got a penchant for learning.
So I suppose patience is one thing, you know, obviously having a group of friends that can help you, that's another great thing as well. Being self-taught, most of it you've done, what, reading books, YouTube, I suppose you would have been the YouTube generation anyway?
Yeah, absolutely.
There you go, yep.
University of Google, that's great.
University of Google, that's another one too, yeah. Forums, I suppose, is where we came from originally. They even exist anymore to a small degree. But yeah, it's just handy having that resource, that ability to look up stuff and, you know, tackle stuff. And even if you don't do it to a car you're going to register, just something in general, it's just a project car, cheap little $200 thing you can dismantle, and if you break it, doesn't matter. You know, you learn from that experience. Feel better now?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. Just, this is live, not really, but it's blisteringly hot all of a sudden. We're toasty, I'm certainly toasty, and I just had a drink. You refreshed?
Oh, I'm feeling it. I'm ready.
Yeah, so let's tackle the hardest question then, because this is going to require the most amount of moisture from your body, I reckon. For someone getting into cars, like ourselves, that are kind of have an interest, they've got a wanton desire to build something like this, or to repair something, restore something, whatever it might be, what advice would you give to them?
Don't let the complexity of the tasks ahead of you put you off. Just start small, work your way up. Like when I first started, the idea of an oil change was like a hard thing for me to do, or a coolant, even like a coolant swap.
Battery terminals for me, I kid you not, yeah.
Oh, it just, I could not even fathom how I would do it, but just work your way up, start small, but just keep expanding on what you know. And as you grow in your little mechanical knowledge, just help others along their way too. If one of your friends is struggling to change a wheel, teach them, you know.
Basic stuff, yeah, you're pretty much right. Start off small, and in some situations as well, you can kind of cheat. If you've got an owner's manual with the car, you can always kind of read that. Mind you, most of the time these days it says, do not change anything, you'll void your warranty, so give up on that one. But I mean, it is a bit of a hard question, because you've got to really think about what it is that got you into cars in the first place, and what you actually had to go through and tackle, and the things you had to learn, how you learnt them. It's a bit of a process, and it's not an overnight affair. Well, you haven't finished on this build, obviously, and you've still got more to do. I'm going to get you back, and I want to see
for sure.
how this thing's changed and evolved, if it's actually gone south or north, you've actually done improvements, or you've taken into the gutter, found another Swift.
Or it finds me.
Yeah, they find you, exactly right. But I mean, appreciate your time, absolutely.
No worries.
It's a great car, love these, you know. Have you had fun?
Oh,
so much fun.
So much fun.
Yeah, I had Peyton to say this. But anyway, thanks mate. If there's anything else you'd like to say otherwise.
Don't be afraid of a project car. They are so much fun. They can be a financial pit hole, but it's always worth it in the end. You
Talking
can't.
about pit holes. Far out.
Yeah.
Start small, work up.
Yeah, that's it. You cannot race a house, but you can live in a car.
Nice, I like it. Yep, that works for me. I think that that pretty much summarizes it perfectly. So, guys, thank you very, very much for joining us. Mike, thank you for joining me. Say thank you to the world. No, but at the end of the day, it is, you know, the fun and enjoyment about cars. I love cars. Mike loves cars. Obviously, you love cars watching this. If there's a passion you have, follow it through. Absolutely, have a go at it. Don't be afraid. If you get stuck, ask people. If they tell you to, well, we won't even go into that one, that's a long story. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for joining me today. Like, subscribe, comment below, etc. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell them that they don't need an SUV, they can buy a station wagon. So much more practical, so much cooler. Isn't that right?
Yeah, you've got options.
You've got options, exactly right. Thanks a lot, guys. Catch you next time. Done.
And wear sunscreen.
And wear sunscreen, yeah.